You're participating in a conference that you're thrilled to be at. The accolades and credentials of the presenters and participants are truly impressive, and you're looking forward to learning and growing from them. You find yourself in a breakaway session where you're able to engage more with the concepts being discussed. But when you have the opportunity to speak, you're suddenly crippled with self-doubt. Is your contribution truly valuable? Do you even belong in this room? If you've ever experienced anything like that, then congratulations, you may have brushed up against the concept of imposter syndrome. So today, I have two questions for you. One, what can you do to overcome this imposter syndrome sense that seems so universal? And two, is imposter syndrome actually a thing? Are we pathologizing normal self-doubt by putting the onus for overcoming it on the person who experiences it, when there are things we should be doing to address it at a more systemic level? It can be defined as having a sense of unease about your worth or accomplishments, doubting your abilities, feeling you don't belong in a space. The concept was first fully defined by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes in their 1978 study, which focused on high-achieving women. But since then, it would seem that imposter syndrome has become much more universal, and a Google search on the topic will turn up thousands of results. There's even a web page devoted to it. I think we can mostly agree that imposter syndrome, as we define it, definitely does exist. There are times when we feel like we're not worthy of the space we occupy, when we think that maybe someone else would be better qualified. You have this feeling that you've been invited into this room of experts on a topic, and at any moment you're going to be found out. Famous sufferers from imposter syndrome include people like Michelle Obama, so it would seem pretty inescapable regardless of who you are and what accolades you actually have. I'd like to offer three possible responses to how you might effectively address the sense of being an imposter. The first is something I referred to in a previous video, separating the fact from the fiction. Just because you feel unworthy does not mean you are. And often keeping a track of those small wins and the accomplishments and achievements that have led you to getting to where you are can help you put things into perspective and recognize that, yeah, you probably are in the right room and you do have something of value to contribute. It may be easier said than done, but it takes me to the second point, and that's recognizing that failure is part of the process. Because you get something wrong or make a mistake or misstep, that does not disqualify you from occupying the position or the role or the space that you're in. Life is a journey and we're on a constant path of progress and growth. If you've ever heard the old, by now, cliches about when you know better, you do better, then you know that successful people or people who have a handle on their journeys and their goals understand that you're not always going to get it right, but that doesn't disqualify you from contributing as you go. The third point is on the importance of feedback. Taking an honest evaluation of your skills and abilities can help you make decisions about the spaces that you're in. So yeah, sometimes it isn't necessarily imposter syndrome. You may not be ready to take on something that you can prepare and get yourself ready for in this moment. But getting the feedback about where you're at and what it is you've just done can help you refine and get better, and can help you make decisions that will better inform the next step that you take. Seeking quality feedback can definitely help you allay some of the fears you may have, which may be unsubstantiated. Now on to that second question. A Harvard Business Review article by Rushika Tulshan and Jodi Ann Burry, titled "Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome," brings to light another element of this notion, this phenomenon of imposter syndrome. In the article, the pair tell the tale of Talisa Lavari, who found herself through a succession of actions that can only be termed corporate bullying, gradually pushed out of a role that she had been appointed to occupy. And they ask some really pertinent questions. For instance, why does imposter syndrome affect women so disproportionately? Could it be that the voices and the spaces that require that people are respected and heard don't exist in equal measure for every person who finds themselves in that space? The authors suggest that using the term imposter syndrome pathologizes something that we all experience as humans, and that's that sense of self-doubt or uncertainty. And that pops up in every area of your life, right? But calling it imposter syndrome, when imposter has criminal connotations, you're a fraud, you've done something wrong, really puts heavy weight on the person who experiences it to disprove it to themselves and to the world. Now, that doesn't help us overcome it. We know that it exists and we experience it in different measures. But understanding that it may be representative of the actual facts on the ground, as much as it may be slightly imaginary in our experience, can help, especially if you're in a leadership space, to address the underlying factors that may contribute to the people around you and perhaps even you yourself experiencing some form of imposter syndrome. How? Well, as leaders, something that's crucial to do is examine bias and to work to dismantle it wherever we encounter it in the systems in which we find ourselves. So often this means believing the experiences that people have had. I think that there is a lot to be done in making sure that when we see these things happen, we're not applying a cookie cutter one-size-fits-all response to it. You can't positive think your way out of experiencing workplace bullying if the people responsible for helping you overcome it are not doing anything to address it or to take the perpetrators to task. Working to make sure that our environments are inclusive and genuinely honor the diversity of experience of everyone present, and taking people to task when they openly or covertly show disrespect or undermine the experience of the people whose spaces we are supposed to protect, can go a long way to supporting people who experience imposter syndrome and putting the blame where it belongs, which is sometimes on shifting the mindsets of the people who create the hostile environment, at least in equal measure, as putting the responsibility for overcoming the experience on the person who's going through it. So friends, I hope that this was some food for thought for you this week. How are you showing up in the spaces that you are the custodian of? What are you doing to protect the voices of the people that are represented in those spaces? I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you found it interesting or would like to contribute to the conversation, please share in the comments. And please make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share this with anyone you feel may enjoy it too. Until next week, stay safe. See you soon.